next chapter of the Trabant story is when my Clio failed its MOT, so it was off the road for repairs for a couple of months. This meant that the Trabant was my main car and I had to daily it to work, including 2 miles on the A1. I didn't realise that the alternator light wasn't plugged in on the dashboard, so when the fan belt snapped, the first I knew about it was soft seizing at 50 miles an hour. My boss very nicely towed me into work, and at that point I had to fix the car so I could get home. I did have a spare belt, so here's how to change the fan belt on a Trabant. The engine obviously seized due to overheating because it wasn't getting the fan cooling, and one of the cylinders has now got lower compression than the other one. They're both quite low, so I'm going to be rebuilding the top end anyway in order to change the small end bearings which needed doing, and I'll have a look at the piston rings and probably change those as well. So to get to the fan belt, you've got to remove the airbox, the padded shroud and the metal shroud from underneath. I'll show you how to do that on the video of redoing the top end, but just know that they're removed. It's mainly clips and a couple of 10mm bolts. And that's how we got to this part. Okay, so I've got to the point where I can see where the V-belt goes. It goes into the fan just there, around this pulley. It comes out the bottom of there, down to the alternator. Down there is the crankshaft, and then back up. So that is the root of it. It looks like I'm going to have to undo this bolt here to loosen the fan, and this bolt here which loosens the dynamo, or the alternator rather, so I can tilt it up to get a bit of slack. I think I'm going to have to take the fan all the way off in order to route the thing round and then put it back on. Oh, we'll see. So I have loosened that nut enough to move the fan around. Now it's apparently important that you scribe a pencil line down here where the fan meets the housing. Focus. Where the fan meets the housing, so that you can realign it with the V-belt, because it's sort of adjustable. I'm just using the dirt mark that's already on there, and with that one screw loosened you can sort of wiggle it out, I think. No, I'm wrong, it has to come all the way off, but at least now I know that that will work. Nut's out, except it's not a nut, it's a stud. Is that standard? Is it standard to have a stud instead of a nut there? It's out anyway, so yoink. There's the fan, so you see it comes up here, round and out that way. It does look like we might even be able to get in and do what we need to do now. Excellent. So, in the user's manual, it doesn't mention this little crossbar here, which I haven't investigated yet, but it's in the way, because it says in the manual to slip the V-belt down where the fuel filter is here, and you see that gap there between the timing cover and the wheel box. You're supposed to put it in there and then straight onto this V-belt pulley thing, which is incidentally the crankshaft. But you can't, because that's in the way. So do I undo that, or will the whole timing go out or anything? Complicated. I've whipped the wheel off to see a bit better, and there's the problem. I've got to try and get that belt around that pulley, and that's in the way. And looking at it, this little thing here is where all the timing gear is. Well, let's have a look. I think it should just pop out of there in theory. Okay, maybe not while I'm holding a camera. But basically, your timing's under there, so your points and condenser. This car is actually of the age where it should have electronic ignition, but apparently it's had a replacement engine at some point and it's points and condenser style. So there we are. But somehow I need to get this through there. If I undo this, is it all that's holding this, you know, the timing plate in place? One way to find out, I suppose. Okay, so there was a 14mm bolt holding that on, which came out fairly easily once I got it started, but now what? How am I gonna get that out of the way without causing any problems? I wonder if it'll just tap out the way, maybe. Ah, here we go. Maybe. This is where I should have brought a hammer. and that's how you get it in. So it's just literally a spacing tube type doodah. Focus. Yeah, anyway, it's that. Put it there with all the other things. So we're nearly done. I've just got to get this pulley around there. I've loosened the belt that tensions this up. The bolt that tensions that up, so it should just knock that way. Although, is that another one? I might have to undo the bottom one a little bit as well to make it looser. I was just going to tap it with a hammer. I didn't think I had a hammer. I do, but it's the most inappropriately sized one. It's not going to do anything, is it? So bear with me. In the end, I ended up loosening this bolt, the one at the top, and the one that holds the other end of the bracket. So that one and the one there. But I've got it on. I've not tightened those up yet. But there we have. One V-belt. I'm now tapping this little spacer back in, which feels really wrong considering how close it is to the ignition timing. I'm terrified it will run like shit when I'm done. Bolt in, 14mm. Need some adjustment of that with probably two hands. Let's see if I can do it while we're filming. Nope, probably not. Anyway, that'll go in. Ha. Lovely. Yeah, I'll adjust the other end so it actually fits in the threads. But then wheel back on and tighten those up, and I think we're about there. Put everything back together. God, that thing's loud. And that was about it really. She's ready to break down another day. During the time I was dailying it, the only other real problem I had was a blowout. So there we are. Thanks for watching, guys.